Today I'm going to present two types of conditionals for you, conditional type 0 and conditional type 1. So before we start our lesson, let's define or just give a little definition to what a conditional sentence is. A conditional sentence is usually a sentence which is composed or which contains two parts. The first part is called an if clause, and the second part is called a main clause. So it is usually a compound sentence, meaning that we have subject verb complement in the first part or in the if clause, and subject verb complement if necessary in the second part. So let's go on straightforwardly with the first example. With the conditional type 0. If you hold an object and drop it, it goes down. So as you can see here, you have a scientific fact, and it has to do with the law of gravity. So as you can see, for example, if I have an object in my hand, like a pen or a glass of water or anything, and if I let it go, if I just release my fingers, it goes down. So this is a scientific fact that if you repeat over and over and over, it gives the same result. So one of the remarks that I'd like to make here is the tense concerning this conditional sentence. So as you can see here, we have the verb hold is conjugated in the present simple, and we can also see that the other verb, which is in the main clause, is also conjugated in the present simple. So the structure is you should keep the present simple for the main clause. For example, if you let's imagine another sentence apart from this one. If you take water, for example, and you put it in a freezer and let it for a while, maybe for a day, and come back, it freezes. Or if you heat the temperature of fire, and you put some water on an oven or something like that, it starts to boil. So it boils or it starts to boil. So this is a scientific fact. So the rule is, if you have scientific facts, or if you want to make a hypothetical statement about something which is scientific, the first part of your hypothesis or of your conditional sentence should be in the present simple, and the second part, your verb in the second part should be conjugated also in the present simple. Let's see another example which is a little bit different from the first one. If you see Mark, say hello to him. So as you can see here, between parentheses, I have written an imperative main clause. So if you have like an order, if you want to order someone to do something, you can make a hypothetical conditional sentence. So here you have the first verb is conjugated in the present simple. If you see Mark, what do you have to do? Say hello to him, or send him my message, or something like that. So this is also possible in English. We can imagine another similar sentence. For example, if you love your parents, help them, for example, or say something nice to them, or be with them most of your time. So this is an imperative sentence, or an imperative main clause. Just before I forget, I have to underline the main clause and the if clause. So the if clause starts from here and ends in the comma area, or in the comma point, and the main clause starts in the second part. So, by the way, the difference between the main clause and the if clause is that the if clause can't stand alone, meaning that it is not dependent, it is not independent, sorry. So, if you say, for example, if you hold an object and drop it, you can't stop and then let your listener understand what you mean. So you have to finish, you have to give him some sort of result. Unlike if you start with this part, for example, if you say objects go down, let's imagine a case scenario where we have here an object goes down. This is a possible sentence. This is a main clause. So it makes sense without the first part. But if you start the sentence with if, you can't, expect your listener to understand unless you give him the answer to your hypothetical statement. So this is just between brackets. Let's go back now to our examples. And now let's start with example 3. If you like mathematics, you should do a lot of exercises. Or if you like mathematics, you must do a lot of exercises, or you ought to. So here, as you can see, we have just a series of modal verbs, or they're sometimes called auxiliaries. So if you have auxiliaries, you can also use them with conditional type 0. So as you have here, you should do a lot of exercises, or you should pay a lot of attention in the classroom, because mathematics is usually abstract and it's not tangible. So you have to be you should have an abstract minded vision, if you like. So now let's get on with our second part of the lesson. Okay, now let's get on with our second part of the lesson, which is conditional type 1. Now, when do we use conditional type 1? We usually use it when we have a cause which leads to a certain result. The result is not very, let's say 100% sure to be met, but it's likely, or highly likely. Let's see the examples, and you will have an idea about what I'm talking about. Example number 1: if you work hard, you will succeed. So this is a very usual sentence that teachers usually do when they want to motivate their students, or when they want to give some sort of advice to their students. So hard work usually leads to success. There are people who work hard and who unfortunately don't become successful. Why? Because of some external factor. But the usual outcome, or the usual result, is success. So as you can see here, we have the first verb, which is work. It is conjugated in the present simple, and the second verb, or the verb in the main clause, is conjugated in the or used with the auxiliary will. Okay, now let's see example number 2. If you pay attention in the classroom, you will understand the lesson. Again, this is a condition for understanding a lesson. It's not the only condition, maybe it's just one condition among many others. So as you can see here, this is the condition, and this is the outcome, or the result to be met. But it's usual, or it's likely. Sorry, I forget just a little dash for the T. You will understand the lesson. Now, let's see an example where we have another word which expresses a condition, which is the word unless. So, what does unless mean? It basically means if not. This is the definition that you may find in a dictionary. So, So for example, if you don't do something, something else will happen, or something else will not happen. Example here, unless you pay attention in the classroom, as you can see here, it is the same example used just differently. Unless you pay attention in the classroom, you won't understand the lesson. So if we want to paraphrase this sentence, we can use it with if, and we will have a result like this. If you don't pay attention, etc. in the classroom, you won't understand the lesson. So when you want to talk about a condition, you can use the word if, and you can also use the word unless. So I hope that the lesson is clear for everyone. To make sure this is good, or the lesson is understood by everybody, please pause the video just for a moment until you do this exercise, and after that we will see the correction. Okay, I hope you've done the exercise, all of you. Now let's see the answers. If you come home late, your parents will be angry. So this is a case for a kid, for example, or a child with his parents. Example number 2, or sentence number 2, if you put water in a freezer, it freezes. Now here, as you can see, we have a scientific fact, or let's say a scientific experiment between brackets. So this is the cause and this is the result. This is sure 100%. It always happens. The third sentence, if you want to be healthy, what should you do? You should eat good food. So as you can see here, we have the modal auxiliary verb, which is should. The final sentence is, unless you come early, obviously the answer is, you will not catch the train. What does it mean? It simply means, if you don't come early, you will not catch the train. Okay guys, I hope that this lesson is clear for everybody, and if you want to do more exercises on this topic, you can just Google conditional type 0 and 1 and add exercises in the Google search bar, and you will find more exercises on the same topic. With that, I leave you for the next lesson.